Hi guys, so Xiaomi just released the Poco X3 NFC and oh my, I'm so excited. Like this phone is going to be the phone that every other phone manufacturer would want to beat, especially if like you want to compete in the mid-range to budget smartphone category. And so we are going to look at everything that the Xiaomi X3 NFC comes up with coming up next.
Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Cyber Reviews. Now before we can go in depth about the Poco X3 NFC, we need to backtrack a bit and look at the original Poco phone, which was the Poco phone F1. Now Xiaomi positioned that phone as a budget to mid-range phone with like as much flagship specs as possible. So sort of like what OnePlus used to be initially before they became expensive premium flagship devices. That was what the Poco phone F1 was at $300. But in 2020, the successor to the Poco phone F1, which was the Poco phone F2, was having a Snapdragon 865 processor, and that's a 5G processor and very expensive to make. So Poco phone couldn't undercut the competition, and so it had to price it very high. So it didn't do really well because if you needed a phone with a Snapdragon 865 processor, there were lots of them which were doing far better than the Poco phone. And so Poco or Xiaomi sat down and went back to the drawing board and said, how can we take over the industry like we did with the Poco phone F1? And ladies and gentlemen, they brought the Poco X3 NFC. Now this phone is amazing. See, on my channel, I've been doing a lot of videos about the Huawei Nova 5T because I felt it was the best value for money phone that anybody could buy. A phone which had a flagship processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and a very beautiful design, fast charging adapter, and a really cool battery. This Xiaomi Poco phone X3 NFC takes everything I loved about the Huawei Nova 5T and made it better. So let's talk about it. First of all, let's talk about the design. This phone is made of glass in front, not just any glass. Corning Gorilla Glass 5 and plastic at the back. Now I like the plastic at the back because the Huawei Nova 5T had the glass at the back, but it didn't have wireless charging, so it was just like a very fragile phone. If it fell down and broke, then you have lost the glass at the back. So plastic at the back, if the phone is not wireless charging enabled, really makes sense to me. And then apart from that, like it also has a 3.5mm earphone jack, which most phones nowadays kind of like are shying away from. Even in the mid-range category, like the Huawei Nova 5T doesn't have a 3.5mm earphone jack. And then apart from that, this phone, like typical Xiaomi phones, has an IR blaster that you can use to control your TV, air conditioners, and other appliances that you have at home. And then at the back, it has this really nice color with the Poco branding on it. And then it also has a fingerprint sensor embedded in the power button, similar to what we have in the Nova 5T. So like I said, it took a lot of visual cues from the Nova 5T and made it really better. And it also has a punch hole camera cutout, but unlike the rest of the competition nowadays, which have like their punch holes on the top left-hand corner, this phone has its own in the middle, like kind of like Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra or something, or even a Note 10. So it's really beautiful. It helps it to stand apart or to distinguish itself from the mid-range devices, which all have their hole punch camera cutout on the top left-hand corner. And all in all, like it's a really beautiful design. And let's now go into the internals of this phone. So let's talk about the display of this phone. This phone is a full HD panel, and guess what? It doesn't have 60 Hz, it doesn't have 90 Hz, it has 120 Hz refresh rate for the display. Now, if you know me and the kind of reviews I do, I love the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus as well as the Nova 5T. I think those were the very best value for money phones you could buy right now. But the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus suffers from something called OLED burn-in because it's an OLED display, and many OLED panels have that issue where after some time of use, lines will appear on the screen and all that. you don't get that kind of issue with an IPS LCD display. And an IPS LCD display can really be very good and vibrant as well. If you watch my review of the Vivo Y30, I did a display comparison between that and the iPhone 11 Pro Max, which has an OLED display, and the Vivo seems to even outclass the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So I don't have any problem at all with an LCD display. I would prefer a good LCD display to an OLED panel any day because of the experiences I've had with OLED burning, and you need to change your display, and displays are quite expensive nowadays. So yeah, I like the fact that it has a 120 Hz Full HD LCD display. Amazing. So it's going to give you really smooth transitions and animations and experience on the user interface, like whether you are browsing or scrolling through Instagram feeds or any kind of task you are doing, or even playing games with support like high refresh rates. You're going to really enjoy the visual experience. And apart from that, it also has a 240 Hz touch sampling, so like it's very responsive to touch, apart from the fact that the display refreshes very quickly. So for people who do like competitive gaming and gaming stuff like that, it's something which is going to give you an edge, and it's really fantastic. The display is awesome, really amazing colors and all that. Fantastic work. And for the price, like I still don't mention the price, and you are seeing the features, so you are thinking, okay, this phone is going to sell like $400-$500. No, this phone is selling for £199 or about $239. Like, yes, take a minute to let that sink in. The Huawei Nova 5T, which for me has been the reigning champion of, value phones, is selling around $320. You might get $300 on Amazon. I'm going to leave links to all these phones I'm talking about in the description below, so do make sure to check them out. And this phone has a flagship processor. So let's talk about the processor of the Poco X3 NFC. Now the Poco X3 NFC comes with a Snapdragon 732G processor. Now I think the G there stands for great, excellent. And it's a 4G LTE processor. So I'm not going to get 5G with this phone, but I don't really care. Like where I live, 4G had come in the world for like 4 to 5 years before I got to where I live. So 5G might take another 5 years before it gets to where I am. And I don't really get why I should pay extra for a phone that I'm not going to be able to use its full functionality, right now. You understand? So for me, I consider the value now, and I see that it's really good value. And the 732G Snapdragon sits somewhere between, the OnePlus Nord and, on the other hand, the Pixel 4a. So it's better than the Pixel 4a, but slightly lesser than the OnePlus Nord. But then the OnePlus Nord is a 5G processor, you understand? So this is like the best 4G processor you can get today in 2020, and I think it's really amazing because, again, consider the price, $239, £199, crazy. And so talking about, the specs, let's talk about the memory and storage options on this device. So this phone comes with 6 gigs of RAM. And you get either a 64 gig or a 128 gig variant. And for me, I would always definitely go for higher storage. So I'll go for 6 gig, 128 gigs of storage. So if you want the 128 gigs version, it's still less than $300. It's $298. So, I mean, why not? 6 gigs, 128. And it's UFS 2.1 storage. And the memory is the high-speed ones. The storage is a high-speed storage version. So this phone is going to be really fast. And I think that's the phone most people should get. Apart from that, like it has performance, improvement, components, like it has liquid cooling, so that when you're playing games and multitasking, your phone doesn't overheat. Because typically when your phones overheat, it tends to reduce the performance of the processor so that it doesn't get like overheated and then get spoiled. So it has a liquid cooling system in it, which would generally reduce the temperature by about 6 degrees to 8 degrees. And so you can continue using it for a longer time, playing games, doing all manner of things you want without the phone overheating. So it's going to last you a very long time. Now, even the craziest part I haven't mentioned yet. This phone comes with a 5,160 milliamperes battery capacity. Like over 5,000, it's amazing. Over 4,000 is great. 4,500 is awesome, but anything 5,000 and above is just crazy. And this phone nails it. And not only does it nail it, giving you a very huge battery, it gives you also a fast charging adapter to charge your huge battery with. And that fast charging adapter is a 33 watt fast charger. You see, that's why I told you that this phone took everything I loved about the Huawei Nova 5T, which had a 3,750 milliamperes battery capacity, and almost doubled it to something 5,000 plus. And then the Huawei Nova 5T had a 22.5 watts fast charger, but this has a 33 watts fast charging adapter. You understand? So it's just fantastic. Like, it's really amazing. The Poco X3 NFC has 4 cameras at the back, 1 camera in front. It has 2 main cameras that are really important and fantastic to me. It has a 13 megapixel ultra wide lens, and it has a 64 megapixel main shooter. The rest are 2 megapixel macro and depth sensing cameras. I don't really care about those ones, but I want to see the kind of quality which is going to come from the ultra wide lens camera and the main shooter. And on the front, it has a 20 megapixel selfie camera. Amazing. Like, I just can't wait to purchase this device and see the kind of shots I can get with it. I'll probably make like 1,000 reviews on this device. But like, I mean, this is my honest opinion. Now let me know what you think about the Poco X3 NFC. And let me know which other phone you think is really high value for money in the comments below. And if you're new to my channel, I do mobile phone reviews, mobile app reviews, and I bring to you affordable gadget reviews to help you make an informed decision when you're making your next purchase. So if you like that kind of content, please click on the subscribe button. Turn on all notifications so you don't miss any episode. Thanks, baby. Finally, I can stop making videos about the Huawei Nova 5T because there's a new value for money phone in town. But hey, I have a lot of videos about the Huawei Nova 5T and other phones, so do make sure to check them out. Thanks, baby.